I often think that if the Holy Spirit disturbs us, then that must mean that the cat fits. And if the cat fits, um, then we need to wear it, and we need to learn from that disturbance in our spirits. As the word speaks, so it seeks to change us, it seeks to deepen us in love, to make us more real, more authentic. And that's the call of every Christian, becoming more real, not just in their relationship with God, which is a fundamental calling. I mean, as Jesus says, they think don't think you'll be heard because of your many words. I think what he means in part by that is just make sure that you're being real with me, you're being real with God, you're being real with the Lord, because then the Holy Spirit can respond in truth, and that response in truth is very, very uncomfortable sometimes. But if what the Holy Spirit says disturbs you, then prayerfully look into that disturbance, such as Matthew 25. When was I hungry or sick or in prison and I didn't help you out? And eternally the answer to that's going to be, well, if you didn't help your fellow human being out, then you won't have helped me. So Christ identifies himself deeply with the suffering and totally with the suffering and the rejected. And that's disturbing, and it should be, because in Luke, on the Sermon on the Plain, he says, well, woe to you, rich, because you have already received your comfort. And the rich doesn't necessarily mean living in a fine palace. It could just be living in comfort and circling your heart with walls of self-deceit, of walls of keeping out things that we know we should take responsibility for. Every one of us owes our fellow human beings a gift of care, and that happens in our jobs, and it happens in our daily lives as we walk past people who are homeless or vulnerable, or if we have that sort of job, as we work with people that are vulnerable and that cry out to us. In that sense, we are always deeply linked with our fellow human beings, whoever they are. And that points really to one of the great post-Easter themes this year, which has been the reading from the early chapters of Acts, Luke's great second book after his Gospel. And that gives a vision of the Christian life as it should be, that we don't hold back from each other, we share in common, we take according to need. If that was a life that was truly lived out by all of us, then maybe we wouldn't be facing this existential crisis of climate crisis and the world changing before our eyes. You only have to look out and see it is doing so. And that's disturbing, really, that early vision of Acts, because it really questions and looks into the heart of how we live and questions it. Does every community do that? Does every family do that? Does every organisation do that? Hold things in common and work for the common good? And if it doesn't, then it's Spirit really, really questioning how we live and organise our lives. And we've got to respond. We can't sort of shut our ears off to the cry of Christ, because the cry of Christ echoes through the world.